I'll be reaching out to Leslie because Joe has said, I'm coming. Because sometimes he plays guitar for Daryl Worley, and sometimes they'll play and go to Ruidoso and play. And so Joe Cook, I was his mama's pastor in 1982. And Joe Cook came home. He was traveling in a rock and roll band, up and coming, getting real big. Just signed a big record deal. But he came home that summer before they hit the road on tour, and he was just going to detox because he was into that rock and roll also. Had the long oily hair, heavy on drugs, heavy on alcohol, women all the time. He just needed to come home and just relax and just detox. And his mama came to him because his mama came to our church. She said, "My son Joe is coming. Would you find it in your heart to go see him? Just go see him." She'd been praying for Joe for a long time. I said, absolutely. I was 26 years old. But I said, absolutely. I'll never forget the first time I went out. I did not go see him at this time next time. The first time I went out to see him was in the evening. You know, back in those days, they lived on a farm. His daddy was a farmer, and so they had just had dinner. And I knocked on the front door, and I could hear the back door open and shut. Pow! And I heard steps running. That was old Joe. So I kept going. I kept getting the same response. So one Sunday afternoon, I decided to go out there on a Sunday afternoon, and his brother had been praying for him. And so he was helping his brother carry a big, heavy window AC unit, and they had just picked it up out of the bed of the truck, and I pulled around the corner. He couldn't run. He'd have to drop that thing and break it. He couldn't run. And his shoulders dropped. I'll never forget. He put that thing back on the tailgate of that truck. He said, okay. Talk to me. And his brother had tears in his eyes. He kind of went behind him so Joe couldn't see him, and he just began to pray. Woo! What was he praying? Because he'd been praying for his brother. And I simply just told him the story of what happened to me when I was 8 years old. Told him why I preached the way I preached. Told him that I preached about the love of God, and talked to him about John 3:16. And is there any reason, Joe, why you wouldn't give your life to Jesus? And he said, no, there's no reason. And he prayed to receive Christ that day. I say all that to say this. I get a phone call the very next day, and it's Joe Cook. And Joe Cook invites me over to his house for a bonfire. And I thought we were going to roast weenies and marshmallows and just have a good old time celebrating. But no, Joe had piled up all of his dirty magazines, all of his ugly and bad CDs and tape. I don't think they had CDs back then. Tapes. And all the satanic stuff. I piled it all up. He said, "Preacher, I wanted you to be here before I burned this thing." He says, somebody ought to say something. He said, "I know what to say, but we're going to set it on fire." And so he set that on fire, and boy, such a joy came over him. But after that was over with, he thought to himself, what in the world do I do now? He had those same thoughts that many of us have. And all I could say to him was, Joe, just wait on God. He's going to lead you. One of the things I love telling believers is just wait on God. You belong to Him. He's your daddy. He cares about you. He'll lead you. Change will most likely not happen that way, but change is going to happen. That was a dramatic change that Joe Cook went through. I close with this story. How many of y'all remember Lee Strobel? Lee Strobel. Let me say this. Do you remember the movie The Case for Christ? If you have Netflix or Prime, you need to rent that thing. That's a great movie. It's a true story. Lee Strobel was a reporter for a newspaper, professed atheist. was in a new marriage, and the lady that she was married to was agnostic. Now, Lee didn't know this, but I've had, when people tell me that they're agnostic, I say, hot dog, there's hope for you yet. They don't believe in nothing. Agnostics believe in nothing. But Lee Strobel was an atheist, anti-God, anti-Christianity, and went about, and he was in that position where if he wanted to, he would do his best to try to disprove who Jesus was. Well, they rocked along there, the story goes, and his wife goes to a ladies' Bible study group, and she gets saved. And she doesn't know what to do about this. But things began to change. I say this in the conclusion. Things began to change. When you get saved, especially if you're married to somebody, you're saved, they're not saved. The things that changed in his life almost led to their divorce. They stopped talking to each other. They stopped having a relationship. Almost led to their divorce until, and it's a miracle, you need to watch that movie, until after 2 years of exhaustive research and trying to disprove who Jesus was, Lee Strobel gave his life to Jesus because he couldn't disprove it. And then God rescued their marriage. I'm telling you, change is going to take place. Change is going to take place. Good change, bad change, mediocre change, moderate change, but it's going to take place. Any thoughts, any questions, any comments? We got the microphone right here. Right over here.
Trying something new tonight.
Trying something new, okay.
2 people to replace Keith.
There you go. Takes 2 to replace Keith.
Have y'all ever heard the one about... No, that's not what
I was to say, grab that mic real quick, man.
I just wanted to comment. You were talking about the prodigal son. The part that always touched my heart is the fact that the daddy, a Jew, cut and ran to his son.
Yeah.
Jews didn't run.
Especially the daddy.
Went running down the road and grabbed his son up, hugged his neck, and welcomed him. And that's what
the
God
daddy
will
knew his
do.
heart. God knows the heart. He knows the repentant heart.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Anybody else? If you haven't read the story of the prodigal son, read that. You need to, that needs to be part of your quiver as an arrow. Right over here.
You know, you were right when you said that mess is it's what got me here. I don't even remember that morning.
Turn that off. Turn it off.
Driving here. You know, it was Freddie and Leslie's posts that made me start watching online. I watched online for probably about 2 or 3 months. And at that time, I mean, my life was falling apart in a sense, right? I'd get up on Sundays, get some coffee, sit down, and I'd watch it on my phone alone by myself where like no one could hear, because at that time it was, again, my life was a mess, right? But one Sunday morning I got up and I don't know how I ended up in the parking lot. And I walked in and you gave a sermon about one of the issues that I was going through. And I've been here ever since.
Amen. That's what God does. Do y'all remember, amen, Tom? Y'all remember Richard Largent's story? He's a member of our church. He was the first one that was saved. And for 2 weeks, when he first drove up to our church over on Wyatt, he had a hard time getting out of that truck. Had a hard time, but he just knew that the Spirit was leading him. Amen. I love that. But he was going through a divorce at that time.
That's when we were Facebook Live in it, and I could see people who were watching Facebook, and I would tell her, Sonia watched today. Sonia watched today.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to mention, Sonia, you've got a post or whatever one of those social My daughter is watching you because she knows you, and that's how we're getting her to watch the Cowboy
praise
Church.
the Lord. How about that? God knows how to connect the dots. Any other comments or questions about tonight's lesson? Amen. Let me just say one more thing before we have our prayer, and that is this. If you don't know Jesus, if these kinds of message cause you to really, really look within, don't put that off. Don't put that off. There's lots of people in this house that can help you and talk to you and lead you in a prayer to receive Christ. Don't put that off. Amen? All right.